Welcome to Every Animal Has an Owner, a mostly large animal podcast for veterinarians and the people that depend on them.
My name is Dr Micah Kohles. I'm a 2001 Kansas State grad. I started out practice in Denver, Colorado, but then moved back to Lincoln, Nebraska to work at the Lincoln Children's Zoo. Then spent some time in academia and also in industry, working in the exotics animal realm. Was fortunate to work with the World Pet Association and also the Association of Exotic Animal Veterinarians. I now own Odyssey Animal Health, a consulting business, and also Woodland Animal Hospital, which is a mixed animal practice just outside of Lincoln, Nebraska. I've been working with exotics since day one of clinical practice. If we're doing just a regular rabbit vaccination or a rabbit wellness exam before I ever touch the rabbit, we're getting the clinical history from the owner, right? Because as soon as we take that rabbit out of its habitat or out of its enclosure, now I'm a threat. He doesn't know me. I'm reaching over the top. So we're always observing from a distance. But if I'm doing a physical exam, I'm always going to start at the tip of the nose and I'm going to work my way to the backside. It's just how I keep organized in my head. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take a quick look at the eyes, looking at both sides, looking at color, looking at shape, looking at structure, so on and so forth. Then what I always do is I just look at ears while I'm on the top of the head. There's really no rhyme or reason to that, but do I see any discharge, any debris? I'm going to palpate the underside of the mandible because rabbits are predisposed to dental disease, so I'm going to palpate along there. Do I feel any lumps, bumps, pains, anything like that? Then I'm going to kind of come in over the top and I'm going to look at each one of the nares, so look at each one of the nostrils. And then I'm going to look at the front incisors by pulling up like this, which usually they don't like. And sometimes I'll back them against my body so they can't back up. So we're going to look at each one of those incisors like that, look at each side. And then typically I would use an otoscope to look into the oral cavity. Again, palpating around the whole jaw structure, looking at the oral cavity, then move my way around the back of the head and around the back of the neck. So again, just trying to get my hands over every single aspect. Then I use my right hand to support, and I'm going to run my left hand down all the way around the paw, kind of digit by digit. Do I feel pain? Do I feel discomfort? I'm going to switch, again, supporting the body. Run down through the shoulder, down through the elbow, down through each one of those toes. I'm going to come up underneath. They have lymph nodes in different spots, so I'm just, again, do I feel any lumps, any bumps? Kind of palpate through the chest, into the abdomen. Then I'm going to support the front body, and I'm actually going to use my left hand to palpate the entire abdomen, right? So feeling anything that seems abnormal, any lumps, any bumps, any pain, any discomfort. And again, depending on if this rabbit was presenting for something, like if it's preventing for GI disease, I'm going to do my wellness exam. We're just thinking of this through the lens of a normal, happy rabbit. Palpate across the back, all the way down the spine, kind of running my thumbs along there. Do I feel pain? Do I feel discomfort? Rabbits can get osteoarthritis the same way that dogs and cats can. They're just really good at grinning and bearing it. Palpate through the rear legs. Same thing that I did on the front legs. But again, remember, I'm supporting to make sure that he's got pressure here, because if I allow the legs to float and he kicks, that's how they can fracture their backs. So I always want to give him something to push off on, or just keep him down on a table, especially backed up to me so he doesn't jump off. Now, usually I'm going to have an assistant, somebody who's helping me to hold. That way they're kind of helping do this as well, but you can usually do it pretty well on your own. So back to the abdomen, get the other side here. Check under the back side, under the booty. All right, so then I've done now my physical. Now I'm going to come back in and I'm going to do a little more auscultation. Just listening to the heart, listening to the lungs. And if a rabbit's in for GI, we're always going to listen for signs of gut sounds too. He's on an elevated platform, which isn't comfortable to them. He's completely overstimulated by everything that's going on. They're hardwired to constantly say, what is a threat? What's going around? That's why if you've noticed, anytime I'm doing anything, I always have a hand on him. And I'm trying to make sure that booty's controlled, because the last thing I want to see is he's off the table, which he can do, and then it's that not a good outcome. So depending on if it's their first vaccine or their second vaccine, but we're giving this subcutaneously. So, we're going to give it over the right shoulder. It just depends on what your protocol is in your hospital.